Born from the ashes. 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 Born from the. Watch me rain.
Hey everyone, it's my personal pleasure and honor to welcome our first player for this season of the Validity Team League. On the left side of the golden wall, give it up for the green Zerg, Mumbles, the Madman. And on the right side, first up for Lost in Translation here in week 2, it's WASD. I'm assuming it's like WASD, but with an extra S. For double backwards movement. I don't know. Now, you may be confused by the sentence I just said. WASD, first up for Lost in Translation in week 2, Mumbles opening the season for Ris3n. How is that possible? Well, week 1 of this team league was actually a walkover in favor of Ris3n against Cosmic Cloud Militia, as they did not show up to the match time. You also may be confused by the +2 score in favor of Lost in Translation. We unfortunately did not have Platinum players here to field, so the first 2 points will go towards Lost in Translation. That leaves Mumbles and one other player left today on Ris3n's roster to tear through the 3 or 4. We don't know if Lost in Translation has a second plat of the enemy team. Stargate is going to be the opener for WASD, shading out an Adept. And for a Platinum player, I gotta say, I'm very impressed with our Protoss. I'm not being patronizing at all. So, since this is a new season, I'm going to repeat my my script here, that when casting Validity Team League games, I take a balanced approach between commentating on the game and what the players' thought processes are, etc. And I add in, this is what the players might execute a little better to push them to that next level. I kind of try to offer slight coaching advice as I cast these matches for both the audience and some of the players. So, yeah, to start off with WASD with a very, very solid build. It's not hitting perfectly on time, but you'll notice there's 2 kills on this Adept, and that's a hard thing to do. Mumbles is a Diamond 3 going up against a Plat 1 player. So WASD definitely punching above his weight right now. The Adept finally falls, taking Zergling down with him. WASD has a Stalker in the wall, and is building a 3rd gateway at the front, which is somewhat unusual. That's going to bolster the wall. Another thing to note is he waited for 2 oracles before moving out. This is very non-standard for a Protoss player. You usually send the first oracle in, zap 1 or 2 drones, get that energy regeneration off as you pull back. When the queens take out your shields, usually the oracle will also go down to yellow health because your opponent's a good player as well, not necessarily because you messed up. And then you go back in with the second oracle, or the Phoenix, or the Phoenix and the second oracle, whatever that may be. And he did build a Phoenix behind this, but he's sending the 2 oracles in alone. 2 shots get 2 drone kills, but the 3rd shot goes onto a queen and one of these oracles in the red. Mumbles with a very nice defense. We've talked a lot about the Protoss side of things, but what is the Zerg up to? So standard 3-base play, going into a Roach Horn. Thank you so much for the follow, Swifty boy. Also, please bear with me. We're dropping some frames, it looks like. The game is running smoothly, but I didn't have a lot of time to prepare for this match, so the stream will take a small amount of time to warm up. So, sorry for the lapse in quality, but it should fix itself shortly. Hopefully. Stararia saying Go-Go Makoto. Wait. Fake potato. Is this actually Makoto? Is this the penguin himself? Charge halfway complete on the Twilight Council. Three charge lots at the third. Well, 3 zealots at the third, soon to be charge lots. Spire play from Mumbles. So, I tried to talk about the Zerg side of things and we got totally sidetracked. Yeah, this is standard 3-base play. Now, Mumbles did get a 4th at the correct time that you'd expect to see in the matchup. These are some odd targets the Oracles are picking. You'd expect them to be diving in on the drone line, trying to get stasis wards off, or just going in, tagging the army, backing out, going in, tagging the army, and then saving their energy for stasis wards if you're making the play for the third as the Protoss. But they're actually just straight up gonna kill roaches. And I guess they can. They just have that much energy. So they cut down a significant amount of Mumble's army before it can reach the Protoss side of the map, and a bunch of lings get cut down because they're too far in front of the roaches. This is even with Mumbles having roach speed. But the Mutaplay is here, and this is going to deal terrible, terrible damage. Lost doesn't really have an answer to this. The Archons are going to morph fast, but Mumbles can magic box them with this many Muta. Plus, he still has forces on the ground. Now, these shield batteries, if not targeted down, are going to hold for a very long time, especially with shield battery overcharge. I tried to talk about what the Zerg is up to like 4 times now, but haven't gotten to it because there's just been too much action. Muta switch target off. The Phoenix shield battery overcharge is dropped on the forward shield battery, but it's picked off. Mumbles expertly targeting those down. First Archon falls. Down goes a High Templar, and down goes the second Archon. Still plenty of Muta in the air, but they're not engaging the Phoenix lings in the probe line. As the Phoenix fire from on high, or excuse me, as the Muta fire from on high, the Phoenix goes down. Fucking GG is called, and Mumbles takes the first game in favor of the Ris3n community here in the bottom left of Everdream, as the Teal Terran, Lost in Translation. In their Diamond 2 slot, it's Swift. And in the D2 slot for Ris3n, as the Green Zerg, it's Mumbles, the Madman. So, again, to follow the flow of the match, we started off, Ris3n forfeited 2 spots. Lost in Translation fielded a plat player. Mumbles took the victory over that plat player. And then Lost in Translation forfeited their second plat spot. So where we're at is Diamond 2 versus Diamond 2 slot. Mumbles is in fact a Diamond 3. So he's the underdog on this map. We'll see what he is cooking in the kitchen to deal with this Terran. Swift, by any metric, is opening standard. Reaper starts at the barracks. Mumbles with a standard hatch gas pool opener. Marine follow-up to the Reaper. and a factory started for the Terran. So this is likely going to lead into Hellion aggression against the Ris3n Zerg. One drone kill. 2 drone kill. There's our Hellion production. Starport is halfway finished. We'll see what pops from there. There is still an option for Swift to pivot into pretty much whatever he wants. A lot of larva stacked for Mumbles. Okay, he does spend his money relatively efficiently after dealing with the Reaper. And he did take a third, so no 2 base aggression, maybe it's 1.5 base aggression, but we will have that third hatch no matter what. And the starport swaps onto a tech lab. It is going to be a Banshee first. This is signaling a mech play to me. We might see 8 Hellions instead of the usual 6. Ooh, Cloak is on the way as well. Where's that armory? I believe we're going to see an armory. Yep. There's Hellion 7, there's Hellion 8. And this is going to be a timing attack from our Terran player. Actually, a reactory on the on the barracks. There's the armory. Hellbat Banshee. We're ready to roll. Force Swift. Mumbles going into defensive roaches. Now, what has the Zerg seen? Because it's up to the Zerg to scout this, figure out what's going on. He just saw the factory, he just saw the barracks with a reactor on it, so that doesn't tell you very much at all, except, obviously, that there are going to be an initial wave of Hellions. 6 drones on the production tab at exactly the wrong time. You need at least 16 lings to deflect the Terran's normal 6 Hellion aggression, let alone these 8, so 3 drones get roasted, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 at the third. Queen is out here. It's probably going to be the first casualty of the Hellbats. Banshees are complete at the starport. They're going to begin moving out. And actually, one hitting in the main. Already cloaked. There's no detection on the field for Mumbles. He's not even morphing an Overseer. Although he does have a completed lair. Drone after drone is falling. "21 drones have died, and the queens are not backing up. They're not stutter-stepping back. The Creep Tumor gets caught in the crossfire. 2 of the queens die, and Banshee still goes uncontested. The one in the main has energy to cloak. This one does not, so this one will die, but what's there to clean up? Banshee in the main. "1-1 started for the Terran, and this Roach attack better do something. Like, it better kill 30 SCVs, because as it stands right now, Mumbles has lost this game. It's all on Swift to throw. He has to make mistakes. And he returns home with the medevacs. He's going to drop the tank sieges. And it's not 30 worker kills. It's going to be about 20. And that's all Mumbles had to offer. He has 700 gas, but oh, the Marine drop hits the main. Another 4 drones die. The lair is under fire. There's nothing to defend except for 2 roaches, and they will lose in a fight with these Marines. GG, well played is called. Swift takes Lost in Translation. In the bottom left, playing for Lost in Translation, currently up a single point against Ris3n. It's the Teal Terran, Swift. And in the top right corner, as the pink Terran for Ris3n community, it's Savior. Savior is the ace player, meaning he has to get 2 wins if Ris3n has a hope of taking the match. Both players are pretty even in MMR. And it's a 2 barracks opener for Swift. He will be getting aggressive. This is 2 barracks before command center. Very interesting. Is it going to be a third racks? A third racks guarantees an all-in. He's going to build a 3rd building. And Savior scouted this just as the factory goes down. Story from here on out will be how does Savior react. Savior with your standard barracks into factory isn't going to be building a 2nd command center anytime soon as he prepares for the Teal Terran's aggression. Tech Lab started on the barracks. Factory completing for Savior. Swift going to swap the factory onto the Tech Lab and start up a starport. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a classic, deliciously baked and assembled 2-1-1 build from our Teal Terran. Savior with a 1-1-1 so far. And going into double Reaper. Okay. I like this play from the Ris3n Terran. Our Lit Terran hitting a reactor on the barracks. Double pump Marines. Third Hellion pops. 4 Reapers, triple Hellion, a medevac. Savior's ready for anything, waiting at the edge of his base. Apparently he expects a Reaper, but that's not what's coming. It's going to get a reactor on the starport, Tech Lab on the factory, and double pump Marine. Savior is actually going to be rather aggressive. I don't know if I like this. Okay, if he catches the tanks out on the map, Swift is going to expand as he attacks. Savior cannot engage this army while the tanks are siege, but he's not going to engage the army. He's going right into the Teal main, and this is not a wall. Savior, with his Reaper Hellion backstab, gets in on the SCV line. SCV, after SCV is falling now, some of them are derping into the refinery, so this game isn't over yet. Swift, all in as all in can be against our pink Terran. But Savior has a tank on the high ground, which is going to make it hard for Swift to engage as long as Savior can raise the supply depots. But wait, Swift brought a Liberator along with him, so he can siege up on that tank. He's taking some time to do so, though, and during that time, every single SCV has died for Swift. The Marines go down in a tank volley because the Liberator provided high ground vision for those tanks to fire. And the Liberator itself finishes off the siege tank. But remember, Savior still has army out on the map, and he's still mining. Now, Swift does have 600 minerals in the bank. He can make some more army supply or replenish his SCV count. He did cancel his command center. That's why he has so much. It's not necessarily that he floated his minerals that badly. He only had around 200 before he made that cancel. One Viking out for Savior, but it's not enough. He goes down. The second Viking pops, and it takes down the Viking of Swift. He will win the air battle, but Savior is losing a lot of his own SCVs. However, he did drop a Ninja Command Center in the top left corner. SCV is going to surround on the tank, and they're going to take it down. Just the Marines on the ground for Swift, and Savior's own tank pops. Savior knows he can afford to take these trades. He killed every worker of Swift. Savior ahead 2 workers to 0 is going to take the game. GG. We're heading to the ace map. In the bottom right corner of Submarine, as the Purple Terran, Lost in Translation, and their ace player, it's very rare. In the top left, as the Teal Terran for Ris3n, and also the ace player, it's Savior. The score is 3-3. Two evenly matched teams went at it today, but it all comes down to this. Very rare with an MMR advantage, however, TVT is his worst matchup. Savior with an astonishing 65% win rate. Very rare also has the advantage of, well, watching Savior play the last map. If he was paying attention and watching the stream, he will kind of have some feeling for how Savior plays. Second CC is started for very rare. Savior gets a scout in the main, pulls out very rare. Actually forgoing his SCV scout, just going to scout with the Reaper. Factory follow-up for Savior. His scouting SCV will make it home safely. Very rare actually not scouting at all. He's not sending this Reaper out to scout. He's instead going for a second Reaper in a factory, but I feel like even if you're going to do this Reaper Hellion aggression, you want to scout with your first Reaper. Savior building a second command center on the high ground, maybe worried about the fact that he hasn't seen a scouting unit from very rare and expecting aggression. He's going to swap the factory onto the tech lab, get a tech lab on the barracks as he builds his starport, possibly for a Raven. Very rare. With a reactor on his barracks, and it will be Reaper Hellion aggression to open for very rare. Now, very rare also going to be mining off his second CC sooner than Savior. Savior still needs to complete his morph it into an orbital and then move it down to location. Very rare up ahead a single worker and 2 army supply. Savior floating quite a few more minerals, but that's going to change once he morphs the orbital. He's swapping his buildings a lot more. Microing his macro. Mumbles referencing Magic the Gathering in chat. Also sushi. Very rare all of a sudden ahead 6 workers. Indeed, you can just see the value of that second command center going up so fast. He's also at double the army supply. This is great macro from our Purple Terran. Savior still not moving that CC to the low ground, going into a quick third. So this is a risky play. If very rare attacks, it could go south really quickly. But Savior sacrificing economy, sacrificing army supply now to gain an advantage as we head into the mid-game. And Very Rare is going to be moving out on the attack. 6 Reapers, 3 Hellions, and a Viking to face Savior's double Cyclone, single Reaper, 4 Marine. Now, a Raven and a Siege Tank will be out soon. The scan sees the attack come in from Very Rare. The first casualty is going to be the Reaper for Savior. Cyclones move to the low ground. They need to make sure they don't die. 2 Reapers fall. The SCVs, or the supply depot pops. Raven's out now. Siege Tank sieged on the high ground. Very Rare drops a scan. His military supply advantage amounts to nothing. Now, Very Rare still ahead, 11 workers, but this third orbital from Savior means he's going to be triple pumping workers to Very Rare's double pumping, and we should see the worker count even up. However, Very Rare has been mining off this second command center for a much longer time than Savior, and you can see that reflected in the upgrades and in the army supplies. Savior investing in more production, gets 2 more barracks, is going to continue his bioplay with Marine Tank. Very Rare drops his own 2 more barracks. Savior only 6 supply down now. Army supplies are even. And the worker count is starting to even up as well. Savior not moving that third to location yet, although he is cutting it behind in the SCV count sometimes, and he is floating quite a bit as well. Not really 100% on top of the production waves. Rare's macro is strong, but we've seen Savior might have the superior micro in our first engagement. A huge supply block hits Savior. 2 supply depots started up, but it's going to take them a while to finish, and this will delay production for quite some time. Finally able to start that next production. He's not, actually. He's going to build 5 supply depots at a time. Very Rare mining off his third base. He is going to end up ahead of Savior. Savior was lax in his SCV production and then did get hit with that supply block, so his economy just really isn't taking off. Very Rare with an interesting play, splitting scouting supply depots all over the map. A wall of vision for a purple Terran. Very Rare with +1 on the field. However, Savior, well, +1/1. While Savior will have earlier stim, but I don't think he's going to be able to capitalize on that fact. Combat shields will also be earlier for Very Rare. That is not the bracket, Zogern. Sorry about that. Very Rare moves into 4th Command Center. Savior saturates his 3rd, but you'll notice Very Rare has 4 more workers in gas than Savior. Tension is building. I mean, on paper, Very Rare looks very much ahead. Savior needs good engagements if he wishes to take the lead. 2-2 already started for the Purple Terran. 1-1 still not complete for Savior. Combat shields are going to hit in a few seconds. Vehicle weapons in production for Savior. Fourth Command Center started. Very Rare just finishing his. We will see a transfer of SCVs from the natural to that fresh base. Savior makes a play. This is the first action we've seen in a while. It's going to make a drop, and there is a scouting supply depot over here, but it's going to give approximately an extra 1.5 seconds reaction time for Very Rare. Savior's most likely going to hit the boost button to shift into this 4th. There's no army in position for Very Rare if Savior chooses to drop here, and he will. 2 SCVs, 3 SCVs. The command center lifts. It's going to try and escape. The army's running in, but the Hellions and Reapers arrive much sooner than the Bio. The command center blows up. The medevac goes down, though, and these Marines will be stranded. They're going to trade out the best they possibly can, but I think that trade definitely went in favor of Savior. Very Rare. Feels like he got majorly ahead by the losses Savior incurred. Siege tank goes down. Savior's just going to sack the 3rd. He's trying to repair, get it to the high ground. Too many Vikings in the air. Siege tank picks off 3 Marines, but there's a lot more work that needs to be done. Savior lands a fresh CC to the left. Someone could ban Angeli. Appreciate it, thank you. Very Rare. Doesn't want to relent on the aggression. He has supply block back at home. 2 command centers are going to complete and clear the supply block, though, in a matter of moments. Okay, Very Rare, not gonna throw. He's gonna back out. Savior scans, sees the army. Scouting Marine pulls out for Very Rare to see the positioning of Savior, and he's going to move in. He very well may kill the planetary. His SCVs are very low health. Ooh. I think Savior might have wanted to stim forward. He lets the planetary go down. And instead sets up an encirclement of the Purple Terran. He's going to kill off the supply line. 8 Marines fall. Siege tank on the high ground. SCVs pull the meat shield. And Very Rare move commands up the ramp. I don't know if he move commanded, actually. He lost vision, so his units couldn't shoot, I think. Viking Cloud under fire. The Marines stim into the siege tank line. 1 siege tank down, 2, 3. Very Rare still has a 5 army supply lead. But is that all going to change? Savior has the Marine advantage. Medevacs go down in the backgrounds. Well, medevac. Okay, there's the second. No. Takes an engagement. 1 siege tank here for Very Rare, but it gets picked off. Savior is going to be able to kill, like, unlimited reinforcements if they keep moving in one at a time. Siege tank will hold for a while, but it gets gunned down too. All of a sudden, Savior takes a great engagement. I was going to say he's back in this game, but you look at the numbers, and as good as Savior's micro and decision-making in the battle was, he's still down 40 workers. He picked and chose his the battle he wanted to fight. However, Very Rare got to pick like 3 more battles before then, and Savior was just like, nah man, I'm gonna let you have that. I'm gonna let you kill the command centers. You can kill the SCVs, and it put Very Rare very much ahead. So Savior pretty much winning every battle that he fights, but Very Rare's macro might just prove to be too much. Savior double expanded, which will bring him up 4 command centers to 5. He can't effectively mine off of them though, and his army is out of position to deal with this drop. As long as Very Rare just drops on the tank, he can win this. Okay, the tank's on siege. One of them dies. The second one should die as well. Command center's delayed. It was a tick away from finishing, but now it can't fly to the main. Actually, Saber kills the medevac. Means the Marines will die. It's going to be very, very close. Saber cancels. Very rare with his main push is going to hit at the 9 o'clock position. Few siege tanks there to defend for Saber, but no meat shield for him. Bringing Stim in. Saber actually taking the better part of the engagement, killing off the siege tanks are very rare, and entrapping his army once again. But he takes two SCVs and losses, and very rare. Still, a 97 army supply to 38. 78 worker economy to 39. 3 more medevacs loaded up and ready to drop in the main. GG is called. Very rare. Takes a 4-3 victory for Lost in Translation here in week 2.